Hello there, I am Nu-Trix, and today we're talking about the latest firmware update 3.0 for the Tr-8s from Roland. You can only say it's a good thing when a company adds to an already existing device for free new features. Of course, for them is a way to keep the device fresh and interesting, and for the user is a big deal because it just adds to the value of the unit. The Tr-8s is the flagship drum machine of Roland. When you look at the offers that you have today as drum machine, the Tr-8s is one of the best. It might not fit your way of working, but it's still one of the best. It does include synthesis of drums, the ACB technology, for many of Roland classic drums. There's sample-based also. There's FM synthesis, motion control. You have plenty of things to do, multiple outputs, trigger outputs. It's just a cool device. Now, the version 3.0 adds mostly two things. First of all, it adds all the sounds of the original CR78. The CR78 was the compute rhythm, if I'm not mistaken. And this thing was kind of the grandfather of the Tr-808, if you want. So it's analog sounding. These were pre-programmed drums. I'm not sure you could create your own drums, but the sound, I always liked the sound of the CR78. And you probably know the sound without knowing that it is from that device. It's just that type of sound. It's really electronic. And now you have them included in the Tr-8s sound bank. It's part of the ACB technology, more ACB model. So this is a virtual recreation of the original sounds. And you have some controls over them that you didn't really have on the original. So you have more controls in here. On top of that, you have all the synthesis power that you have inside the Tr-8s for each of the sounds. But that's not enough. Roland also added a bass sound, the 808 chromatic bass. So of course, it's based on the kick drum of the 808, but it is a bass in this case, so you can actually play it chromatically. This is really fun and interesting, and a lot of people want it because it's something that we hear often in music, in certain type of music. You're playing the bass drum. I still don't understand why they did it the way they did it. I'll show you how they did it, and I'll show you what I expected. And it doesn't mean it's a bad way. It's just totally different than what I expected. You'll see. I'll tell you how I use the Tr-8s before the chromatic bass to play a bass line. And I think that my way, it's more logical. But again, I am fine with how I think. That doesn't mean I'm right, but I feel okay on how I do it. Let's jump in. I'll show you. Before that, now there's a easier way than before to update the firmware of the Tr-8s. Before you had it, you still can do the original way of doing it. I mean, you download the firmware, you put it on the SD card with the back import, or you put the Tr-8s as a USB drive mode, and then you copy it on the USB drive, and then you turn it on in a certain mode, and it updates fine. But the easiest way is actually go on the Roland Cloud and get the free editor. When you turn on the free editor and it connects to the Tr-8s, it says to you, this is the older version. Do you want to update to 3? You go, yes. It does it for you. And before that, it says, do you want to back up the memory? You go, yeah. It backups the memory, put it on your hard drive. You update the firmware. You have nothing else to do. It's just the way it should be. It's simple and it works. You know, it reminds you of the backup and it does it for you. Perfect. So that's a wonderful step, Roland. Now there's two versions of the editor now. You have the full version, full size that they call, and you have the new compact size. Basically, the compact version is the same thing as the full size. So that section at the bottom here, the motion section, becomes a floating page. You have to load it separately. It's different, but I mean, everything else is the same. You have access to the same thing. So what I have right now, it's connected to my Tr-8s here. Let's just go in and play the sounds. The CR78 78 sounds. I've got the kick here. I like that sound. And again, you can do a motion control for that. You can record that if you want to. All of these. You have the snare. Choosing some delay on this one. This is the rim shot, and there's an LFO on it, so it goes up and down gradually, it changes. Now, the bass, I'm going to bring that closer. When you think about the bass, chromatic bass, see, you get these bass. What I did with it, more delay, I went into shift instrument, and I looked for the effect. I added some distortion on drive on this drive. That's it. Let's say I don't want enough. Wait a sec. This is very low, so by adding this, it's kind of more obvious. Now, if you move the controller, if you select that, the controller is at ACB course. This is a course tuning for semitones. So as you go up, so if you record a motion, look at this one on screen, you can see that for instrument, low, see, so you can really control this the way you want, or you can just press on it and say this one, I want it to be +7, this one's gonna be +1, and this one's gonna be -7. And because there's another note here, +4, I put that to, this is 0, 0, -7. This is one way to enter the note and hear that movement. So you enter the note and you can play the bass. Now, my preferred way, I'm saying that this is not the best way, is that I already did bass using, so this is played in real time with these notes, and I'm using, in this case, FM percussion model, and there's an LFO. Let's get rid of the LFO. You're gonna understand what I'm talking about. If I go back to LFO depth, what's interesting about the FM percussion model, you can actually go in and really work on the FM section. Say, well, I want this. Well, too much? Okay, let's go back here. It's easy to create a nice round bass with that. And I'm still not using the LFOs, you know, or the low pass. And then the interesting way, and I think the right way to enter this information. Now this is not a course value, it's actually the note value. And I don't understand why they didn't put that for the bass, because this is the note value. So you press on your note here, and you really have the note. It's exactly the note, because one of the value you can have here, it's actually the note. You have the note. So then you press and you go, well, that's going to be F3. I can change it to something else. And this one's going to be this is D3. This is, let's say, it's a D4, just to have. It's easy and it's logic. I mean, all of this is just notes, basically. And again, if we bring everything up. So this is the bass from the percussive FM model. I understand that it's not the same sound, but I don't understand why they didn't use the note value. And honestly, if anybody has the idea of, why, put the answer below. What's the advantage of it? I don't get it. Still, it works, and fine, because I want it to work. But I prefer just the note, because it becomes a real sequencer. And now this, I can easily say I'm going to use, all the toms going to be bass line and 2 leads, and I can create a whole song with this. That's pretty cool. That's it. That's the new one, 3.0. And my vision how you can include the bass with any other sound here that is note controlled, but the FM percussive model is note controlled, and it's a FM synth. Simple one, yet very efficient. Like always, if you have any question about this, or if you want more tips on how to use a Tr-8s, put them below and I'll look into them. That's it. Stay safe, make more music, and see you soon. Cheers.